Hey everyone, Julian here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make modern hard groove techno, clar, molecule, Bo Didier style. To go along this video, I actually just dropped the perfect sample pack for this style called Ultimate Hard Grooves. The link is at the top of the description, and for a very affordable price, you get these 5 awesome hard groove techno kits. You can see they're all right here, full kits. Everything you need to make a full track. You get all the individual layers for each of those loops labeled and key and all that. Plus, you get the full Ableton files as well. So it's a really great value. Plus, there's these free bonus rave loops. So you literally have everything you need to make an awesome hard groove track right there at the top of the description. I'm telling you guys, don't miss out. It is a great value, and for the price, you really can't beat it. Plus, it's going to give you everything you need to get started today, making your own hard groove tracks, or even just some new inspiration if you already know what you're doing there. Thank you so much for the support, guys. This really helps. You know, I do not make a whole lot off of YouTube, but with these packs and stuff, I'm able to keep going, keep bringing you guys new videos. Plus, like I said, this is a really great pack. I wish this existed when I was first discovering hard groove back in the day. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. Links at the top of the description, and let's dive in. Alright, so the first thing about making a hard groove track is you need to know what to focus on first. And I've pretty much got this project file organized in that order, right? So whenever I'm making one of these tracks, I always start with the kick and the basses first. Because as you can hear, there's so much groove happening there just between those 3. Well, here it's 3 because there's 2 basses. But between those elements, so much of what you're hearing in this whole thing is really just already happening there, right? And what it really comes down to is I always start with the kick, right? So we get this nice hard-hitting kick. This is one of mine. Make sure you cut out enough subs so that there's still the fundamental harmonic, but you're not actually going to have all that kind of messing up your mix, right? And then we're converting it to mono, because sometimes, you know, you just want to make sure your kick is in mono, always. Then the first element of bassline. Now, when it comes to hard groove, there are a lot of different ways that you can make basslines, right? Because it's not got to be so melodic. So you can pretty much any sound that's like a low sound, you can create a bassline out of it if you can create a groove out of it. So what I did here is actually I've got this drum rack. This is from Ableton. Like, it's literally over here, right? So you can see we're just creating this tom pattern, right? Which goes with the kick well. See, it's all about that, how it's fitting with the kick, right? It's a very simple pattern though. And then all you gotta do is just, we're side chaining it. A little bit of a high cut as well. Right, we really want this to be in the low end because there's a lot of percussion later that if you have too much click happening in your bass line, I think you're going to get a lot of crunch in the master. But then after that, we're just doing another subcut and converting it to mono. And that gives us a great groove, but then we need a little bit more movement in the low end, I think. And so that's where this loop comes in. What we're doing here is I've done pretty much the same thing. You see the processing is literally the same as with that last one. But same thing, I grabbed this really cool drum rack which had a bunch of nice sounds. I can see the thing here, even though it's like the same processing and kind of a similar technique, it's really like what they're doing. Like the fact that this one, this is your like rapid fire, just constant. Right? And then you have this thing over it, which is just popping in and out. And that's a lot of groove happening there with just those 3 elements. So you always are going to start with that, because once you can get that going, then you can move up to kind of like the main drums. Which would be the hi-hat, the clap, and the ride, right? I always start with the hi-hat, so right, just like a nice punchy hi-hat. It's not too long. I think that's the key. It's not too like a long 909 or an 808 open hi-hat or something. It's just these nice, fat, punchy hi-hats. We got a little bit of a low-end cut, and then we're converting that to mono. All of these main groove elements should be in mono, so it hits as hard as possible. Then the clap, right? just something that goes well with that hi-hat. Plus, a really great technique to get that like lively, hard groove sort of tribal techno sound is try grabbing a piece of a loop where there's like a clap and then like some percussion, and then kind of layering that with the clap. See, that's what I did here. It's literally just like this from one of these rave loops. I'll show you the actual. Right, I took that, and then it's just the snare. And so you're getting this loop with it. So now you have like a lot more groove and kind of like a more animated feel. And then the last one of the like main drums, quote unquote, would be this ride. There's a lot of these in hard groove tracks, and I noticed for one, the thing they're doing different from a lot of other techno is the velocity is kind of just like the same. This is not every single time, but in a lot of these tracks when they'll have this ride going, it's not got like that. Like usually in techno you would do like that, you know, and it would be like kind of like this like that, but here it's just like all the same velocity. High pass it, and then maybe a little bit of volume shaping so it bounces off the kick, which is what this auto pan is doing. But yeah, you really just want like a steady. So then at this point, you want to have these going, and it should again be grooving without having to have any kind of loops or like live percussion just yet. You need it to work just off of this first. Then there's a few more little background drums we add, right? Like a lot of times I'll have a shaker. You can hear that, like if I play with the hi-hat, you can really hear it. Right, adding a lot of groove. And also in that same vein, there's this little shaker at the end of the snare at the end of the bar. Right, just like a little percussion. You can hear it in the whole groove. There's just that little at the end. So now we've got everything with like programmed percussion. There's no loops or any live stuff just yet, and it's just like really grooving hard. So this is perfect. This is where we want to be to now go and add the loops, right? So now you need some live percussion loops. When you're doing hard groove, that's part of the sound, right? It's all those bongos and rave loops and all that kind of stuff. But the reason I don't show you that first, although you might hear that first when you hear a track, is because that stuff, like all these loops, they're not really gonna work if you don't have this foundation already. Like in my opinion, if you want to make tracks really quick, start with all this stuff, and then you won't be wondering like why you can't get it to work, even though you have all the magical rave loops that should make your track work, right? Because you need this, and then you see we can bring in the loops, and they're just gonna work really well. Honestly, like oftentimes you don't even have to do much processing. As you can see, I got this one sidechain in the middle, but we just layer these. You know, there are 3 different loops also that fit together. You don't need to process them because they're fitting together already. This one's very much in the high end. This one's in the mid-range, so when you put those together, it's gonna work. And then same thing here. Like you can still hear each individual loop when you play it and in the whole thing. And that's the key. And if you get that foundation right, you can do this a lot easier. So we've got those, and then the last thing is I think you want something that's not just drums, that's still very rhythmic. And that's where this vocal stab comes in. So what we're doing here, I'll turn off all the effects. We got this little vocal. Oh yeah. Right? Just like someone doing that, right? And I just took these, what I did is you can do like slice to new MIDI track. And I think I did 16th notes when I did this one, right? But then what you can do is you've got all these little slices. Of like vowels and stuff. And now, since you already have your groove, right? This is another one of those things that you gotta have the main elements there before you do this. You can just make something that's gonna fit over that, and then with a little bit of processing, you can make it work really well. So the first thing here is we got a shifter. Kind of, you know, putting it down an octave, but also adding some kind of weird overtones to it, which I like a lot. The key to this is you gotta turn that window down, because by default, It's like not even on the beat, right? Because that messes it up. If you just bring that all the way down, then it'll be nice and clean. Then we got a little bit of delay, which secret to this is the 8th note delay, which is actually the 2 on the Ableton, but if you listen, hear how it's adding like a lot of groove to that? And some overdrive brings it out a bit. High pass filter, sidechain, and there we go. And yeah, so that's how you make a hard groove track. Again, it's not that hard. You just really need to know what to start with and kind of how it all works. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get Ultimate Hard Grooves. The link's at the top of the description. We got these 5 awesome kits. Tons of individual loops, literally like everything you need, plus the full project files even, which a lot of people don't do. I haven't ever seen project files like this for Hard Groove available on the market, so definitely go grab that, plus the free bonus rave loops. It gives you everything you need to make an awesome Hard Groove track at a really accessible price so that we can all make the best music of our lives. I promise if you grab this today, you're going to make the best techno track you've ever made. It gives you everything you need and some really high quality sounds. I put a lot of time into this stuff and I know what I'm talking about. Thanks for the support, everybody. Every little bit helps. Enjoy, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.